All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Bar911970. Been a little while, but I am here to talk about something I found very interesting that I would like to share with you that maybe may redefine some of the words that we're told in our lives. Welcome. I see people already starting to come in. And I found this actually by accident. And I find this quite interesting, and I want to share this with you. I was just on YouTube, and one of the things I like to do is just go to the recommendations that YouTube has to offer. I don't watch mainstream media. I mean, I just don't really want to get into all the lies and the division and all that hatred. So I like to watch YouTube, see if there's videos that I'll find, and with the recommendations, every now and then, you'll just get these random videos that have nothing to do with anything that you've watched before. I guess they just throw things in. And for some reason, I mean, I don't drink. I haven't drank alcohol in probably 3 or 4 years. Gave it up. Just didn't feel like, you know, using that putting that into my system. But for some reason, they had this channel where somebody was like almost a quote-unquote redneck kind of person. And they kind of gimmick themselves that way, so it's not trying to be offensive or anything. But trying all these craft beers and all these different IPAs and stuff like that, and for some reason just caught my curiosity. So I watch a couple of videos, no big deal. Then all of a sudden he says something that triggered something about other words that I've heard. Because if you watch my channel at all, you'll know that a lot of times there's hidden meanings in words, and words have different definitions, things that you may not even consider or may not even know about. One of which has nothing to do with this video, but one of which is a video I've done about talking about the word bless. Because you've been told all your life, you know, when somebody sneezes, you say the word bless you. And priests are always blessing people, and you're giving your blessings. Well, another version of the word bless, as far as the definition in the Bible, means to curse. So that's not what I'm talking about. I just want to say that I know there's different meanings in words. Words are used to trap people. Whether you believe in that or not is irrelevant, because if you think about it, words are nothing more than sound. Sound is vibration. Vibration is light moving at different levels of frequency. And if you know anything about sound, high enough pitch or the wrong enough pitch or the louder the volume, the more it can affect you, quote-unquote, physically. So these things can hurt you in ways you don't know, especially if you don't know how to control them, or what I like to call understand. Now I see my stream has been stopped for a second. I always find this interesting. I have a comic book channel, and that never happens. But on this channel, YouTube is right on schedule to try and block this. So it seems like the stream has continued. So let's get into this. So what did this craft beer person, drinking person say that caught my attention? Because I pay attention to words. And if I hear certain words, it makes me think about certain things. So he's talking about these beers, and one of this particular beers was imported from Germany. And it was called Hell. And he happened to mention, oh, hell, the German word for light. And all of a sudden, I stopped the video, and I had to first of all check that just to make sure it was true. So I don't use Google, because we all know what Google's all about. I used another search engine site. And I looked it up, and lo and behold, one of the definitions of the word hell in German means light. Now, why is that relevant enough for me to make a video? Well, I've seen a few movies and different people talking about the fact that the light may actually be the very trap that keeps people recycling into this quote-unquote matrix of a world. Now, why do I say that? Look at, for example, I'll give you 2 movies where I can tell you right off the bat. The movie Poltergeist. If you've never seen that, and I recommend watching the original one, don't watch the reboot. But one of the biggest things that they talk about, and they stress this to the point where they make sure you know about it, that when the little girl gets trapped in whatever world that was, And I won't say it's hell, heaven, or the abyss, or whatever. It's just she's trapped in another area, we'll just say. They bring in an expert that tells her to stay away from the light, that the light is actually danger, not what you think it is. Think about the movie The Matrix. Another movie, I mean, people can criticize it all they want, but you have to go into the deeper meanings behind them. Don't just view it as entertainment. See it as like almost a science project, where when Neo, in the second movie, gets to meet the quote-unquote architect, he opens the door to the most brilliant of light, which leads him down the wrong path. Then in the third movie, he ultimately meets the artificial intelligence itself. And what is everything made of? It's made of light. Now, if you think also, now I'm not talking about whether you believe in religion or not, because that's not what this is about. But if you actually look up the term Lucifer, which we all know in religion is supposed to be the devil, Satan, things like that. I'm not saying whether it exists or not. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking only strictly definitions. If you look up the definition for Lucifer, you will find the following phrase, the light bearer. So I want you to think about these things. Are we really being told the truth about words and their real meanings, especially when things that we've been told tend to have more than one meaning? And one of the things about language, it's a convenient way to hide information. Like, prime example, how many of you know that the days of the week are named after 7 visible planets? Now, if you hear it in English, you'll only notice a few of them. You'll recognize Monday for the moon, Moon Day. You'll think of Saturday for Saturn Day, for the planet Saturn. And you'll think Sunday for the sun. But then you'll say, well, what do you think about the rest? Well, if you look at, like, for example, either in French or Spanish or Italian or other languages, like, for example, Wednesday is Mercoles, Mercury. If you look up all the other days of the week, it's either, I think Friday is Vienes, which is Venus. So there are words that we use that have different meanings because, remember, English is a derivative of other languages that came from different time periods, which meant that things had different definitions. So what if the trap is the light? Now, I'm not suggesting it is. I'm just saying inquisitive about this. I'm very inquisitive about things. And I'm starting to see this a lot. Stay away from the light. Lucifer, the light bearer. The Matrix, where the bad guys are made of pure light. Poltergeist, stay away from the light. And now I find out that one of the definitions of the word hell in German is light. And then you think also, like when Tony Smith says, you know, of light, isn't that the Illuminati? But think about Illuminati, illuminating, light. Now, as far as we've been told, the people of the Illuminati are not exactly the nicest people, are they? And yet they consider themselves the illuminated ones. Well, doesn't light illuminate? So, what I'm saying is I'm not trying to draw any conclusions other than the fact that I like to hear all forms of information, because sometimes you can learn things from your worst enemy and you can learn things from your best friends. So sometimes you could learn also what not to do. And Tony Smith says, you know, Tony Smith says, can you believe life today? Just think about the word believe. It has the word lie written right in the middle. Be the lie. Because whether you believe something is true or whether you believe something to be false, either way you do not know. You're just guessing or conveniently having something that is based on what you feel resonates with you. Look at the word God. God is not a name, it's a title. It depends on what you worship or who you worship. If you worship Jesus, he's your God. If you worship Buddha, he's your God. If you worship Satan, he's your God. So God is not a name. But you have to go with what represents the symbols based on that information if you're not sure. And that's why I've said to people, look at the dollar bill, the US dollar bill. It says, "In God we trust," but it doesn't really show you anything that would coincide with the God you think it's supposed to be. There are no angels. There are no crosses. There's no image of God or Jesus on your money. But you see a lot of pentagrams. You see a lot of the number 13. You see a single eye over a pyramid. We take for granted the things that we're told, hoping that we will never dig deeper or ask questions. What I'm saying is, look it up yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I wouldn't recommend using Google. Use another search engine. But type in, what is the definition of the German word hell? H-E-L-L. And you'll see one of the definitions is the word light. I find that quite interesting. Plus, are we worshiping the right God? Because again, the word God is just a title. And if you think about a creator, well, shouldn't a creator love its creation? And yet, we worship these gods that are controlling our thoughts, our minds. We're living in poverty. We're living in fear. There's wars. Does that sound like a loving creator? A true father, so to speak? Or is that someone with an ego of wishing to be that creator? I find these things very interesting. So here I am just watching random YouTube videos. Come across just some, like I said, a redneck, and I'm only saying that not to be insulting, but that's kind of how he leads himself to be in this program. That's the little shtick, if you will. Just somebody checking out craft beers. I already watched like 3 of his videos. I thought they were kind of funny the way he was presenting them. Then all of a sudden he says this one definition that came out of nowhere. I believe, and again, there's lie and believe, so I don't know if it's the truth or not, but I resonate with the fact that that information was there to kind of put another piece to the puzzle. Is the light the thing that we really need to go to? Or is that the trap? Because remember, in the movie The Matrix, they say that Neo was not the first one. And it restarts every time. So think about that, about trying to escape this game, and the trap sends you right back down to the game. Like a moth to a bug zapper, following the light, bringing it to the utter doom. So is the light actually a trap in a way to convince everybody, because they've been told all their lives that it's nothing but pure goodness? What if that's the way you get recycled back into this game and you could never escape because you keep going the wrong way? Now, I'm not saying that's the case, because, I mean, as far as I know, whether we can come back and live another life, whether that's true or not, at the very least, I don't remember ever doing it. So I can't say I have to be able to tell you through experience, but here's the thing. No one else has either. So just imagine, all of the information we've gotten from people in our entire lives are based on, at the very best, speculation. Or maybe getting information from some other source. What that source is, who knows? But how do we know those sources are being truthful? Because if you think of a salesperson, their job is to make you like them before they can sell a product to you. And they will always tell you the absolute best about that product, even if they know it's a pile of garbage. So it's a matter of trust. So when you put your word with somebody else's faith, or you create your own faith, is that creating a bond? Think about that. You are bonded. Think about the meaning of the word bond. Your word is your bond. You know how I have, and many people have talked about how, in a way, with your own emotion, energy and motion, you can create your own universe based on how you feel. So your word is creating, and that's why they say in the Bible, at first there was the word, and then all of a sudden there was creation. Because remember, sound is nothing more than energy vibrating at different speeds. I just find this very, very interesting. That all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I find another piece of the puzzle that the light may not be what we've assumed it was and what we were told it was. That's why, like I said, you look it up. Look up the word bless. You can even type it in. Does bless also mean to curse? I mean, you ever see one of those old movies where there's maybe like a old like Southern person and somebody was talking nasty to him, and instead of them cursing him out, they just turn around and go, "Oh, bless your heart." Like very sarcastically. Why do you think physical wounds heal, but mental wounds can last a lifetime? They hurt you forever. I mean, you had a bad relationship where somebody hurt you 20 years ago, you could still feel that pain. So words are more than just sound. So to me, I don't know what the true answer is. I just find this information interesting to listen to and see where it takes me from there. And like one of the subscribers, Gizmo, says, we just live in the moment. That's a good way to live. A lot of people base things on the past. What is school all about? It's not really preparing you for the future, unless they're guiding you towards their future that they want you to live. Most of it is learning about the past, reliving what has already been, something you have no control over. Something that reminds you of what was wrong in the past and now becomes wrong in the present. Because I don't believe in the fact of, you know, if you don't research history, you're doomed to repeat it. Because history tells us all the people we're supposed to hate. Why should I hate somebody that lives halfway around the world, or even halfway down the street, just because somebody else said I'm supposed to? How many of you have wanted to start a war with somebody in Vietnam, or North Korea, or Russia, or China, or Iran, or Yugoslavia, or Venezuela, and I can continue? We're told to hate them. Look at all the division of other people who profit off of our hatred and our division, instead of realizing we're all human beings. Because you do have a choice. But the more I hear these words and these definitions and the other hidden meanings, because nothing can stay hidden unless you decide to no longer search for it or no longer pay attention to it. Everything can be revealed. I mean, like I've said on my channel forever, I have about 43,000 subscribers. Maybe 500 will listen to this. But they silenced 90% of my subscribers to ever even know that I did this video. But they didn't get everybody. You cannot stop what you want to have happen unless you believe you cannot do it. So, to me, I find this interesting. I want you to look it up. I don't want you to just take my word for it. I don't want you to believe me. Even if you trust me. Look it up yourself. But look into this. See what you think about it. See what you find. Don't just dismiss it. That's what causes us to never get further. Because if somebody hears something and they automatically dismiss it, well, the search is over. Is there any surprise you haven't found a solution? And you're forever just circling the drain. We seem to forget these days, with all of this division, that we are all human beings. And remember, human, look up the word Hu, H-U. That's another word for God. Look that up. Human, God-man, made in God's image. Human being, God-man being. What is he being? It's whatever you want to be. You want to always be afraid? You'll always create something to be scared of. You want to always be angry? You're always going to have something to be mad at. You want to be depressed? You will always have something that makes you sad. Do you think that's a coincidence, or is it more of the power that you have, that you're so powerful you can convince yourself you're powerless? And I've said that before. I mean, just imagine you have the power. You are so powerful that you can actually convince yourself you have no power and actually end your power to prove yourself right. And Tony Smith, they can control all the food and water they want, but they cannot control all the food and all the water. That's the fear control speaking. Nobody can control everything. They give you the illusion of control. It's like grasping sand in your hand. The tighter the grasp, the more sand slips through your fingers. Unless you believe that to be true. Because I guarantee you, you have food and water in your house. So how good are they controlling it? And even if the food and water is toxic, there are plenty of different natural things that you can ingest that will cure you of whatever they try and give you or put into you. Remember, a disease is nothing more than dis-ease. Out of balance. What you believe. Instead of believing, start knowing. And A Comfort says, we can be our own worst enemy. Absolutely. Because you've been told you're insignificant. You've been told other people need to take care of you. And they do. But just imagine how much better this world would be if we all took care of ourselves, instead of allowing somebody else to take control. Because I say this to any side of any government through any time in any history. How many people in charge of us have done good by us? How much does any ruling class, whether it's Republican, Democrat, whether it's a president or a king, how many of them are on even ground with us, the common people as they call us, the regular people? Like, for some reason, they're a better or different human than we are. That we are different God men. What if it's just a game and we created those people, and the object of the game is for them to be the bad guys to keep you from getting out of the system. And every time you leave, they trap you with a, hey, follow your friends and family that passed on into the light. What if that's just another smokescreen and you fall down like when you shoot a pool cue into one of the holes, it falls back down, travels through the pipes, and you start over again? Think of it like pinball. You shoot in the ball, you play the game, if it falls past the flippers, it falls down, and you start over again. What if the true way out is to not follow the light? To see that for something else, like what's behind the curtain? Is there something more? Because if you think there is a true creator, most people that create something that they're proud of tend to treat that thing that they've created with love, or at least happiness or pride. How many people spend days making a painting or months making a painting to make this beautiful piece of artwork that you put your all into and you're very proud of, and then you decide, I'm going to set it on fire? How many people do that? Not many. Just imagine if somehow you had the ability to create a car from scratch, and it took you years of building up little pieces to finally make a car that runs on air. and you have the only one in existence, and it runs beautiful, and it doesn't require any gas or any oil, and it will run forever, you telling me you're going to destroy it the next day? Or do you think you're going to be darn proud of it? And yet we supposedly have this quote-unquote God that supposedly loves us unconditionally, so we're told. But yet if you eat meat on a Friday, you'll burn into the flames for all eternity. Does that sound like the true creator? Or does that sound like somebody who wants to be what that creator has? How many people just on YouTube have you seen on channels where somebody comes up with a great idea, and instead of other people praising them and saying, you know, great job, they either try and imitate them or bash them to try and get them off of YouTube so somebody else can replace them? That sound familiar? So what if this whole hell that we've been talking about is nothing more than the light that keeps us trapped here, based on our belief, which again has the word lie right in the dead center. Don't be the lie, be the no, be the truth. The problem is, because nobody has ever experienced death, at least to the point where they remember it, and even if they have experienced death, how do they know what they saw was the truth? How do you know it wasn't just an image to deceive you? What if somebody says, oh, well, aliens came down and they showed me all these wonderful things? How do you know they were being honest? You don't. You hope they are. I mean, you look at our government, you look at the media. They're all in suits and ties. They all have these business degrees. They all look professional while they're stabbing you in the back and robbing from your bank account. You know, do you ever watch any mafia movies where mafia people are scared of their enemies, but they're actually more scared of their friends? Because you'll more likely be murdered by somebody that you thought was your ally that you trusted than somebody else that you've been keeping an eye on from afar. Keep your friends close. Your enemy, what is it? Keep your enemies close, your friends close and your enemies closer? I just find it quite interesting. But yes, my stream here is being broken up, which to me always says if YouTube is trying to block my message, to me that says that I might be on to something. Because like I said, if you follow me on my other channel, which is a comic book channel, I do live shows all the time. This never happens, ever. And I get more views on a channel that has less than 5,000 subscribers than I do on a channel that has almost 45,000 subscribers. So YouTube is doing a great job trying to silence me. But notice, those of you who are here are hearing the message. They cannot stop everyone. You can only stop yourself by saying you can't, or it's too hard, or you're too afraid, or something's going to happen to you that's bad. You're the director of your own movie. You don't want a death scene in your movie? Who cares how many people present you that script? Say no thank you. I want this to be a love story with a happy ending, because it's my movie. So with that being said, before they completely cut this off on me, if you didn't watch this from the beginning, I hope you do. I hope you will actually look up the German word for the word hell, which means, one of the meanings is light. Lucifer is the light bearer. These are either coincidences or there's something else to it. That's for you to decide. Because I'm not here to tell you any way to think. I'm just sharing my point of view. And you'll have to determine if it's something that resonates with you. Doesn't mean I'm right. But you always ultimately have to have the responsibility for your own choices. Don't you wish the media and governments throughout the world, throughout history, would have given you that luxury? They don't want you to question. They want you to believe. And many people just choose it because it's easier. Well, that's just like cattle following each other because it's easier. They tend to follow themselves into a place they really don't want to end up. So, thank you very much. I know I don't make videos here very often, but I want to make sure I don't want to be one of those channels that just makes videos just to make them. Because to me, the money has nothing to do with this, and that's why most people do that. I'm not saying everybody does it, but a lot of people do it as much as they can because they know it will create more ad revenue. I would rather have a video that had meaning for me to say than just to do a daily video just to say, hey, I'm here. And if that means only 500 people out of 45,000 are going to listen, well, maybe those are the 500 that are the most important out of those 45,000. So if you're listening to this, maybe something I said resonates with you. I doubt any of you are here because you have nothing better to do and just listen to some random person. And Comfort says, thank you, love and light to you. Well, as we're starting to see about the word light, I'm not so sure if that's really a compliment if you think about it. And of course, they shut me down again. So yeah, so I'm going to end this video because YouTube is trying very hard to shut this down. So I'm going to shut it down on my terms. So thanks everybody. My name is Chris. This is Barn on 11970. If you would be so kind to give it a like, I'd appreciate it. If you think something in this video helped you and you want to share it, please do. And thanks for taking the time a little bit to listen. Hopefully you learned something from it. And to YouTube, you can't stop us all.